Before I address the details of what we're announcing today, it's important that I thank many people, the University of Tennessee community, our fans, our alumni, our faculty, our staff, our student athletes, our coaches, for your patience and trust. I know this has been a difficult time while you've read all sorts of things in the media. You want answers, you want them quickly, and I've heard from many of you during that process. But I've also heard very clearly from you that you want this done the right way, which is why we are taking the time to conduct the careful investigation that has led to the decisions that we're going to be announcing today. Our administration is deeply committed to sustaining and winning across every sport and doing it with the highest integrity. You have our promise that we are going to do this the right way. Today, we are announcing important changes in the leadership of our football program that are intended to achieve both of these objectives, winning and winning with integrity. But it's important that first I provide the context for the changes that we're going to be announcing. So here's the basic sequence of events that led up to today. On November 13th, my office received a verbal report from a credible source about potentially serious NCAA violations committed by the football program. That information was immediately shared with the university's general counsel, who initiated an internal inquiry. Based on that inquiry and the seriousness of the allegations, the university's general counsel engaged an outside law firm on November 19th. The firm has extensive experience in NCAA compliance matters and is conducting an investigation and providing legal advice to me and the university. That firm is Bond, Shinnick, and King of Overland Park, Kansas. The investigation has been pursued diligently since then and is still continuing. I know that during that time, many of you have had questions that we could not answer, and I hope you will understand when we are done today why we could not respond and why, out of respect and fairness for all involved, it's so important for us to protect the integrity of this investigative process. It's also important to understand that aspects of the investigation are continuing, and there will still be questions we cannot answer today. As is our responsibility, we have informed the SEC and the NCAA about the allegations, and in December, the NCAA opened a formal case related to this matter. Athletic Director Fulmer and I received an update Friday afternoon from Bond, Shinnick, and King, and this morning we met with our compliance staff to clarify things we'd heard. While the investigation is continuing, the information presented to us indicates serious violations of NCAA rules. They occurred, and that these serious infractions warrant immediate action. While I would like today to lay out the entirety of what has been shared with us about the investigation, the fact is I cannot while the investigation continues. When we can do so without compromising the investigation and without violating NCAA bylaws, we will do that. For now, I can tell you this. The information provided to date indicates a significant number of serious NCAA rules violations. While we have no choice but to continue to ask for your patience while both the university and NCAA investigate, the personnel actions we are announcing today are an indication of the gravity of what we have discovered. Today, Athletic Director Fulmer and I issued termination letters to the following: Assistant football coaches Brian Niedermeyer and Shelton Felton. Also, 4 members of our on-campus football recruiting staff. Additionally, our director and assistant director of football player personnel, and finally, a football analyst quality control coach. That brings me to the question of our head coach. Coach Jeremy Pruitt is the leader of the football program. He is responsible for hiring assistant coaches and the staff in making sure that those who report to him comply with the NCAA rules. This is written into his employment contract. In addition, under the NCAA bylaws, he is presumed responsible for the actions of all staff members who report to him, either directly or indirectly. Coach Pruitt hired and was responsible for monitoring all 9 employees that we have issued termination letters to today. Based upon what we know, it is clear that Coach Pruitt did not adequately promote an atmosphere of compliance and or monitor the activities of the coaches and the staff who reported to him. Accordingly, today, Athletic Director Fulmer and I agree that we have no choice but to move forward with terminating Coach Pruitt. He was provided his termination letter this afternoon. This is not what any of us want for our football program or for our university. What is so disturbing, as demonstrated by the scope of these employment actions we are announcing today, is the number of violations and the number of people involved, and their efforts to conceal their activities from our compliance staff and from leadership within the athletic department. Most of all, we deeply regret the impact this may have on our many student athletes, particularly the vast majority of our football players who've had no involvement in this matter at all. We have a path forward. Phillip and I agree that defensive assistant coach Kevin Steele should be named acting head coach. Although he only recently joined the Volunteers, he has the right leadership experience, having been a former head coach at Baylor and defensive coordinator at Auburn. He also served as the interim head coach at Auburn and is widely considered a top recruiter. Coach Steele has deep volunteer roots, having played here and coached here in the past. We will give him the support he needs to keep the program moving forward towards success. Phillip and I also discussed the need to search for a new head coach as soon as possible. In the course of that discussion, Phillip concluded he thought it best and suggested that a new coach and a new athletic director form a partnership that could provide long-term stability and success for our football program. And he suggested that I hire a new athletics director to select the new head football coach. As you know, Phillip came out of retirement to take his current position and never intended for it to be long-term. Phillip has offered to bridge the gap and stay in his position until a new athletic director is ready to take over. And you will hear more from him in a moment. But I do want to emphasize this. Phillip Fulmer is demonstrating why he's a legend at UT. Once again, agreeing to serve the university he loves. And I want to thank him, Phillip, and for his family's commitment to the University of Tennessee. And I also want to underscore there is no allegation, nor has anything been said that suggested that Phillip was in any way involved or knew anything about any of this. I have relied on Phillip's counsel since the day I arrived, and I will continue to rely on his assistance and advice even after he retires as athletic director. His sterling reputation in college athletics and his knowledge will be assets to us, to me, as these next 2 searches proceed. We have already enlisted the services of Parker Executive Search Firm to lead the search for a new athletic director. Our plan is to have a new athletic director in place as soon as possible, and we're optimistic about our future and our ability to attract a strong leader who will then hire the right football coach. Now, I realize many people would prefer we make those hires in the opposite order, but I hope everyone will accept the judgment that this is the way for us to have the long-term success we all want, for now and for the long term. We feel a profound sense of responsibility to get this right for our student athletes, our staffs, and fans, and I am highly confident we will do so. Thank you, and now I'd like Athletic Director Fulmer to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Dondi. None of us obviously are pleased to be here under these circumstances. We are all deeply disappointed in the individuals who engaged in the behavior described in the report that we received. As the Chancellor explained, our general counsel and law firm gave us the report, and it became clear to both of us that new leadership was necessary in the football program. The unexpected need to hire a new coach caused me to reevaluate my place in the organization. I knew we need stability and continuity at Tennessee, and our next football coach needs to be on our sideline for 10 years or more. And I am confident that we will find that coach, but also am confident that he will want and need to know who his athletic director is going to be for the duration. I asked Chancellor Plowman if we could revisit my position, and she agreed. My thoughts are, I'm 70 years old. I am not going to be the athletic director at age 80. It was always my expectation I would move on from athletics sooner rather than later. It only makes sense that I make that move this semester so that a new coach with a new athletic director can implement their vision together. To our great alumni and fans and friends, I am deeply sorry that we have arrived at this day in our history. To my staff and support groups and faculty and administration, I want to say a hearty thank you for everything that you've done for me in my time here as the athletic director. We have many fine young men, coaches, and administrators in our program. We all know that UT has an outstanding history in academics and athletics. It also demands that we do things the right way and within the rules. I'm proud of that. And we can do that and compete in the greatest conference in the country. As hard as it is, this is a fresh start. I really appreciate Kevin Steele stepping in and helping. He wanted to come home and help his school any way that he could. I appreciate the leaders of our football team and our remaining staff, and I know they will do an outstanding job holding it together and helping to get football back on track. I will tell our current players and new signees, and will tell future players, this is a great place to go to school and a great place to play football. As dark as this day is, there's a light. I ask our great alumni and fans to be supportive and lift up this program as we fight through these difficult times. Thank you, and I believe that President Randy Boyd would like to make some remarks, and then we'll be happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Coach. Well, I share Chancellor Plowman's and Coach Fulmer's disappointment. None of us are happy to be here today under these circumstances, but I also share Dondi and Philip's optimism for the future. The future is bright, and the steps we have announced today will help assure that it is. I want to emphasize that we are prepared to take firm action, not only to those that we discipline who may have acted badly, but to ensure that everyone understands the culture of our entire University of Tennessee system, that we put integrity first. If you can't win the right way, you don't belong here. If there is anyone in our athletics departments in Knoxville or elsewhere who hasn't heard that message yet, you're hearing it now. If you can't win the right way, you don't belong here. I want to commend the Chancellor and the university leadership for taking firm action, for taking it the right way. Like all of you, I've been reading the papers in recent weeks, and I've read the speculation and the pressure that has been placed on Chancellor Plowman to act. But integrity starts at the top. And she understood the only way to handle this matter was to let the independent investigation take its course without interference. When the investigation reached a point that she had enough information to make informed decisions, she acted decisively and has taken a course in which she has my full support and also that of the chairman, Compton, and the full board of directors. Lastly, I want to echo Chancellor Plowman when she said about the incredible legacy of Phillip Fulmer. Coach, this university owes you a deep debt of gratitude for all that you've done to make the volunteer nation proud. We're as proud of you today as we were that night in Tempe when you hosted that trophy above your head. You have never stopped working to make your university better, and our values that you have made, you are a great ambassador for Tennessee. Our overall athletics program is better and on a more equal footing because of your leadership. I want to thank you for standing with Chancellor Plowman as we make this very important transition in our athletic department. And like Chancellor Plowman, I look forward to your continued contributions and guidance as we move forward in our search for new leaders. We know you love Tennessee, and you should know Tennessee loves you back. We appreciate you.
Thank you, President Boyd, AD Fulmer, and Chancellor Plowman. We're going to open the floor up to questions. Casey has a microphone. She will walk around. Jimmy?
Any idea when the ongoing investigation will be complete?
Don't have a good feel for that. We hope it's nearing its final stages, but then the NCAA also continues on their own. So our part of it, we hope, is completed fairly soon.
Yes.
When did the NCAA actually start getting involved in this investigation? When did you guys bring them along? And how has that process been over the last few weeks?
So they became our council, involved them, and I know that they've been involved more actively in the last week to 10 days. I think that's right, Tisha, something like that.
Yes.
Well, when you look back at the last 3 years, how do you think Jeremy Pruitt's tenure is going to be remembered here?
Coach, do you want to start with that one?
Yes. We found the program, in quite a mess at the time. I think we definitely have upgraded the program in general, relationships on campus, relationships period. Certainly the recruiting has been good. There's some really outstanding young men in the program. Not that there wasn't before. Definitely, there's just lots of good things that have happened. This is very unfortunate in the sense that we're going to have to work really hard to keep it from setting us back.
Chancellor, in the documents that was put out, it said that you hired a search firm for the athletic director on the 16th of January. Coach Fulmer, when did you go to the Chancellor and about the decision to retire? And was that prior to knowing that you were going to that this decision was going to be made today in terms of the termination of Coach Pruitt, or was that made afterwards? I'm trying to figure out the timing because it appears you hired a search firm for a new athletics director at the end of last week before today's termination was announced today.
That search firm conducts searches for athletic directors and football coaches, and it was an opportunity. We did that after Philip and I had talked, but it gives us the opportunity to have them available when we need them for either of these two searches.
Jordan?
When Kevin Steele was hired last week, was he kind of given privy to this investigation, and did he know there was a chance that he may be serving as active head coach?
He did not know that he may be serving as active head coach. He did know that there was an investigation going on.
Trey?
When,
Madison.
Oh, I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Trey, sorry.
When the allegations were brought towards you and the multiple staff members, I think I count a total of 10 people that were let go today. Were you surprised how deep this actually went into this investigation and the people that were involved in this? And what was the communication process between you, Chancellor, and the athletic director, Phillip Fulmer?
So Athletic director, I'll start. Phil. We were briefed extensively, and President Boyd was there as well on Friday, and it was stunning. The number of people involved, as I said in my comments, and the number of incidents. And so, yes, that was shocking. And that's partly what you see in the level of the actions that we're taking today.
I think you answered it.
Madison?
Mrs. Plowman, can you just speak to the level of NCAA violations we might be looking at? Are we looking at a level 1 or a level 2 with this many people involved? And also with the violations, how are you going to address future head coaches that you interview that might have a violation that they're walking into?
So what our council has told us is that we're looking at level 1 and level 2 violations. I don't know yet exactly how many or exactly the specifics of it. I think that the issue for us is we want to win here, but we want to win with integrity. And we're going to be looking for coaches who have that same philosophy. And I'm very optimistic that there are many of them out there. And I underscore what the president said. And so that will be important criteria. But let me say again, our first action is to hire an athletic director. And that person then will, in conversation with a number of us, begin that process of looking for a football coach.
David and then Blake.
As you look to next year, how many athletes have jeopardized eligibility at the moment as a result of the investigation that might not be on the field in the fall?
So that's a question I can't answer. I would like to give you everything, but I don't have it. So I don't want to do anything that violates any names or confidences.
Blake?
Chancellor, how far back do these violations date? Are they contained within Coach Pruitt's coaching tenure? And then second part of the question, what qualities and experience are you looking for in the next athletic director?
So these are incidents that came up during Coach Pruitt's tenure. I can't say much more than that about when they started, what all they were. And the last part of your question was, what are the qualities I'm looking for in an athletic director? We're looking for someone who is a strong leader and who has principles and values, who also has experience in hiring coaches, and who can help us look towards the future. We've got a great future here. And as disappointed as we are, we're determined to get this right and to get a good person in place, both as AD and as head coach. So I think leadership and integrity are huge, and then experience in this role before will be important as well.
Go Wes and then Jimmy.
I believe you said that you had a credible source at the beginning that got this thing kick-started. Did that come from inside or outside of the building?
That source was someone who seemed credible to us. I really don't want to reveal much more about that, but it was very credible. Let me just leave it at that.
Jimmy?
Two things. One, Coach Fulmer, will you assist with the hiring of your replacement?
Jimmy, say that again, please.
Will you assist in the hiring of your replacement?
If Chancellor Plowman asks me to, I'll be glad to help. She asked me to.
Let me just say that also one of the things we're going to do in this next search is, as I said, use a search process. And I'm going to be seeking advice from Philip, from Randy, from John Compton, from other people, as well as the experts with the firm on how to go about this and what names might be the ones we want to go after.
And secondly, Chancellor, do you intend to have a negotiated buyout with Coach Pruitt? Do you intend to not pay him anything? Where do you stand with his buyout?
This termination was for cause, which means no buyout.
We have time for one more.
What do you tell the parents of football players that are out there right now, maybe across the street in Stokely or coming back to campus? How do you explain this to them? Will you be holding any kind of Zoom conversation with them? What are the next few days going to look like when it comes to talking to current athletes, because they start class tomorrow? So there's an opportunity that maybe presents them to go somewhere else.
This is a very crucial time for that very thing. We have a team meeting this afternoon that will address our team. We have a big enough team room that we can spread out and be safe with the virus and everything. I'll address them. Dondi will be present to do so, and Coach Steele will be there as well. As I said earlier, this is a great place to go to school, a great place to get an education and play sports. With this challenge that we have, there's actually opportunities, for more and more people to look at the university as this transfer portal that's out there has created havoc all over the country. So as many challenges as we have, also look at it as there's opportunities there as well. We've got a very credible staff. We've got a fantastic facility. We've got a great brand name, and we will work diligently to keep our players here and welcome the new ones, and then continue the recruiting process that's going on right now till February 3rd.
I'll let Dondi conclude, and I would just like to make a comment. Since I'm not going to be there this afternoon with the players, but I want to stress this point to the current players, to future players, and their parents. If you would put integrity first, then this is the place you want to come to. I'm hopeful that parents and students that want to come to a place that puts integrity first, then they'll want to come to the University of Tennessee.
I would like to just conclude by saying, when student athletes come here, there's at least 3 things we're committed to doing. One is helping them achieve what they want to achieve with their sport. We're helping them get an education. And the third and important thing is we're training future leaders. And our student athletes are going to be the leaders of this state and this country. And we take that seriously, and nothing about this decision changes any of our ability and continuous efforts in those areas. This fall I met with almost every sport team at the invitation of Phillip. We went around to almost every one of our teams. And when you meet our athletes, you just see the most amazing students. Many of them have come to school with hardships and disappointments. And some of them already know that life has challenges and uncertainties, and I'm really counting on them to step forward and to continue to lead as we see them do every single day on this campus. And they remind us every day why we're doing what we're doing. And they're inspiring, and I want their parents to hear that, and the parents of future Vols to hear that. It's important to us.
Thank you all. Appreciate everyone coming. We will have a clean feed available.